2023 was an amazing year for cozy games and farming sims in particular. However, there were so many titles that you might have missed a few, and you might be wondering which ones are worth digging into. In today's video, we're going to look at all the different new farming sims from 2023, and I'm going to tell you which ones are worth your time. I'm also going to get into the DLC waves that I personally have played, and spoiler warning, one of the DLC waves really ruffled my feathers. As you're watching today's video, please let me know in the comments down below what was your favorite title of 2023. You can also let me know which game was your most played Switch title of 2023. Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life was my most anticipated game of 2023. After getting my hands on the game, I do have to say that while on the whole I liked the game, it wasn't quite as good as I was expecting it to be. From very early on, I was always hoping that they would announce a DLC pass or that there would be some free content updates where they'd add a few more features, but unfortunately they just released the game and then they didn't have a DLC pass or anything like that. The game actually took away a few features of the original game. It did add a few new features as well, but I was really disappointed that they took some things away and then they didn't really add that much to make up for it. That being said, the core game is still really good. I love the graphical style and it still is a lot of fun, but yeah, for me personally, the later years, they definitely get a bit slow and you kind of just want to quickly get to the end. Well, if you're me anyway. Still, at the end of the day, I would probably give this game an 8 out of 10. If you're a big fan of Story of Seasons and Harvest Moon games and farming sims, I definitely think it's worth checking out, especially because it has a unique playstyle compared to a lot of different farming games. You get to see a farmer through all the different stages of his life, which is a very unique aspect for a game. That being said, the game is on the slower side, so if you like more fast-paced games, then this is not the game for you. Harvest Moon: The Winds of Anthos was definitely the game in 2023 that exceeded my expectations the most. With this game, I went in a little bit hesitant because Harvest Moon One World was a bit of a disappointing game. I think it had a really unique setup and the ideas behind the game were really interesting, but the execution wasn't that good. However, with Harvest Moon: The Winds of Anthos, it's very unique, and it actually does things very well. Now, this game does still have a few minor problems, and if you don't like open world games, you're probably still not going to enjoy it, but on the whole, I think this is a very exciting game. If you like exploration and you like farming sims, I definitely recommend checking out Harvest Moon: The Winds of Anthos. This game, I would actually end up giving it a 9 out of 10. I highly recommend this game to fans of farming sims and just fans of cozy games in general. Harvest Moon: The Winds of Anthos, I think it really turned things around for the Harvest Moon series. I'm really excited to see where they decide to take this series next. On the other hand, the Winds of Anthos DLC, I have to say that I was a little bit on the disappointed side. The DLC, it came in 4 waves, and of those 4 waves, I actually only feel like the Animal Avalanche pack is really good. If I was you, I probably would get the Animal Avalanche pack and then just not get the Season Pass or the other 2 waves. If you get the Seasons Pass, you will also get a pack that includes 2 new marriage candidates. However, all of this content, it's all locked behind the main storyline, so you're going to have to complete the entire game before you can meet these 2 new characters. Also, there are a lot of quests that you're going to have to do, so yeah, if you want to marry either of those characters, you are going to have to wait a long time before you can actually marry them, which is kind of a little bit annoying because getting married takes some time, and then having a child takes some time, and yeah, it'll push everything back. The DLC for Harvest Moon: The Winds of Anthos, on the whole, I think I'd probably give it a 6.5 out of 10. I did really like the Animal Avalanche pack, but the other packs, they all felt a little bit underwhelming to me personally. I also think that the DLC outfits are really cool, but again, you can't get to these until you've completed the whole game. So yeah, that's one thing that I do hope that the series kind of moves away from in the future is I hope they let us get married earlier in future games, and I hope that they'll let us change our outfit earlier in future games. It's especially important for people like me who might like to go back and replay a game, but if I replay the game, I'm going to want some of those customization options earlier on, and not when I've already completed everything. Paleo Pines is a farming sim where you also raise dinosaurs. And this game, I was a little bit hyped going in, but then when I actually started playing the game, I was a little bit disappointed. This is a farming sim that focuses more on raising dinosaurs than actually starting up your farm, and there's no romance in the game at all. So for me personally, I kind of prefer farming to ranching, and I really like the social aspects of farming games. So for me personally, I didn't really have that much fun with Paleo Pines. Also, the game looks a little bit worse on the Switch as opposed to the PC version, and the load times are really long, so all of these different aspects left me not really having that much fun in Paleo Pines. So I'm going to be giving Paleo Pines a 5 out of 10. It's definitely not an awful game, but it's also a game that I don't really feel comfortable recommending to other people, unless you really, really like dinosaurs. The next game on our list is Fae Farm. Fae Farm is a game that I went into with very high expectations because I'd heard a lot of content creators talk about how good it was, how addicted they were, and things like that. So when I finally got my hands on Fae Farm, actually initially I thought it was kind of fun. I thought the graphics were kind of cute and the gameplay cycle, it was pretty good. However, the longer I played the game, the more the issues started to really bother me, especially once I got to the second mine. This game has a lot of minor problems that kind of bog it down, and yeah, I definitely wouldn't recommend paying $60 to get Fae Farm. That being said, I do think Fae Farm is kind of interesting and it's a decent game, so I would end up giving it a 7 out of 10. The game does have cute characters, but sadly they're all a little bit shallow. And yeah, the marriage aspect of this game is very simplistic and it's not really that exciting. However, if you're someone who likes more action-based farming sims, then yeah, Fae Farm, it could be up your alley. I do have to talk about the Fae Farm DLC as well. I think of everything that happened in 2023, I think the Fae Farm DLC was the biggest disaster. In this DLC wave, there was no new farm or crops, there was no new job quests, no new dungeon, no new outfits, no new fish, no new forageables, and there were only 2 new NPCs that were added in this DLC wave. Also, the theme of this DLC wave was frogs, which, I don't know, I think that's a really weird choice, and me personally, I'm not a fan of frogs, so yeah, for me, this DLC was extremely disappointing, and actually almost borderline offensive, because if you bought the Nintendo Switch version, then you had to pay $60. On Steam, you could have bought Fae Farm for $40, but on the Nintendo Switch, you had to buy it for $60. And they said that was because it would include 2 DLC waves. Now, that means that each DLC wave should have been worth about $10. This DLC wave, it added next to nothing. The only thing they added was one extra feature where you can tame critters, and the critter's going to follow you around, and it gives you a little bonus. So if you're somebody who already completed the main storyline in Fae Farm, then this DLC, it added next to nothing for you. Yeah, there's a new area that you can explore, but the area is mostly empty. So yeah, of everything that happened in 2023, I think the Fae Farm DLC Wave 1 was the most disappointing by far. I'm actually going to be giving the Fae Farm DLC, the first wave, a 2 out of 10. Because yeah, I think it's borderline unacceptable. If the next wave of Fae Farm DLC is this disappointing, then I think it's going to be really insulting to fans who bought this game for $60, which includes me. I did not get a download code for Fae Farm. I had to pay the full $60 just like everybody else who got the game around launch. So yeah, this one, it kind of burns. Disney Dreamlight Valley. Now, this game, it did have a bit of controversy surrounding it because they initially announced that it was going to be free to play, but yeah, you actually have to pay some money to start to play Disney Dreamlight Valley, and they're not going to be going free to play anytime in the future. After they announced that, I decided, okay, well, I guess it's time for me to pay up and see what this game is all about. Disney Dreamlight Valley, I do have to say that it's very interesting in that, yeah, there's actually a lot of content in this game. If you're somebody who wants to get a lot of bang for their buck, I actually think Disney Dreamlight Valley might be a good choice for you. There are so many quests tied to each of the different Disney characters in this game. Yeah, so you could literally be playing this game for hundreds of hours, especially because there's new content that they add all the time. If you want a game that you can play for hundreds of hours, I actually think Disney Dreamlight Valley might be the game for you. I will say that these hundreds of hours of gameplay, a lot of it is going to be doing repetitive tasks, but it is kind of rewarding to complete the different quests and then meet the new Disney characters and things like that. I also recommend having a wiki nearby so you can get help when you get stuck. All in all, I think Disney Dreamlight Valley is worthy of a 7.5. It is kind of a nice way to wind down after a long day. I will say that if you buy this game, try to get this game as cheap as possible. Before I bought the game, I was kind of confused because there were so many different versions of the game and they all had different special features attached to them. But I really think that there's so much content in the game that you really don't need one extra outfit or 100 more moonstones. So my recommendation would be just buy the cheapest version of this game that you can get, and yeah, just take it from there. Obviously, if you're not a fan of Disney and you're not a fan of cozy gameplay, then this game is not for you. I want to end today's video by saying thank you for watching my channel, thank you for liking my videos, leaving comments, and all those good things. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.